Boom, there we go. Now we should have audio. Fantastic. That'll do a lot better. There we are. Perfect. I can hear my own voice. Awesome. All right. Well, we are back at it. Whiskey Through Food, episode number 7. And do I have a fantastic one for you here today? My name is Cameron George, National Ambassador to the Whiskeys of Ardbeg here in the United States. You'll notice that I'll be glancing down every so often to make sure that I'm staying current on the comments. Now that we have audio live, you guys can actually hear me. Hopefully my video is doing okay. It looks like we're losing a little bit of compression, but that's because Instagram makes it not so friendly to stream. We will also be going live on Facebook as well as YouTube at the exact same time. So please feel free to pop over to either my personal Facebook page, Cameron George, or the YouTube page for Ardbeg Cam. You may have noticed that we uploaded a delicious cocktail video earlier this morning featuring the Ardbeg Daiquiri, one of my favorite cocktails. Unfortunately, we're not going to be making the daiquiri today, but we're going to be making something equally as delicious, something that I came up with about 45 minutes before going live here. A really delicious cocktail that is very much so inspired by our food pairing for this afternoon as well, or evening, depending on where in the world you are. Again, Whiskey Through Food airs every Monday and every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5:15 if we experience technical difficulties. But yes, we do aim to be online and live at 5 o'clock every Monday and Friday. So today's whiskey of the day is, drum roll please, Ardbeg Wee Beastie 5-year, a delicious new core range expression from the Ardbeg Distillery. We released this whiskey a few months ago, and actually I got to help the whiskey creation team assemble this delicious product, which was an incredible experience and opportunity to have a hand in the creation of one of the new core range whiskeys from my favorite whiskey distillery. Mind blown, absolutely blown. So let's dive into a little bit about the significance of Wee Beastie, why 5 years old, and then we'll start talking about food pairing, if that's all right with y'all. Make sure that we have no comments in the chat here. Wendy, hi, good to see you again. Aaron, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Thank you for joining, y'all. Paris in the house. Paris is in the house. Good to see you. I hope everything went well last Wednesday. Wink, wink, right? So, Wee Beastie 5-year. Why 5 years old? You know, it seems like that most of the single malt distilleries over the last 30 or so years have pivoted to higher age statements. And that is based on the fact that someone in a marketing tower somewhere decided to tell us that the older a whiskey was, the higher the quality of that whiskey. And that's actually not true. Whiskeys actually develop a flavor profile kind of in like a roller coaster format. There are going to be, some spikes, there are going to be some peaks, there are going to be some valleys in terms of the organoleptic layout of that whiskey and how it reveals itself to your palate, depending on its age. As a whiskey, approaches 10 plus years old, you're going to see some of the barrel influences, especially if we're talking about ex-American oak or ex-bourbon cask. You're going to see a lot more of that creme brulee, that custard aspect start to become a little bit more dominant. And then around 15, 16 years old, especially if we're talking about a peated whiskey, you're going to see a fall off or a degradation of what we call phenols or phenolic compounds, right? And that's what gives delicious peaty whiskeys their incredible smoky aromatics, all of those really wonderful salinity and salty aspects, that sea brine that we really love about peated whiskeys. And what's going to happen is ultimately a lot of that flavor profile is actually going to be replaced by a softening effect. You're going to start to see like vanillin really start to take over. A lot of like those chemical compounds like eugenol, which gives you clove, that's going to really start to take over. And oftentimes you run the risk of a single malt becoming almost two barrel dominant. The reason that we selected 5 years as an age statement is, one, because Ardbeg has a history of bottling young whiskeys. Even in the early 2000s, some of the most delicious whiskeys from Ardbeg, and actually some of the whiskeys that the distillery was kind of rebuilt upon, were actually quite young whiskeys. These whiskeys would have been, for our Ardbeg heads who will join us or are joining us over on YouTube as well. Some of these whiskeys you might remember as being Ardbeg very young, Ardbeg still young, Ardbeg almost there. That peaty road to prominence. Ardbeg essentially didn't have a whole lot of older stock after being shut down and closed from 81 effectively almost till 1997. So what that meant is we had to be very smart and we had to be incredible craftsmen and make something that was going to show incredibly well at a very young ig. So Wee Beastie is both a return to that stylistic thought as well as us kind of taking a zig while everybody else is zagging approach. The industry is now kind of converting and leaning a little bit heavier towards non-age statement whiskeys, which I absolutely love. Again, Ardbeg being a huge proponent of non-age statement whiskeys. I think of whiskeys like Ardbeg Drum, Ardbeg Grooves, Ugadal, Corrie of Reckon, Anno from our core range. So the whiskeys from Ardbeg have always showed very well as non-age statement whiskeys as well. But the second that you put a number on the front of that bottle, that is your guarantee that the youngest whiskey in that bottle is going to be at least 5 years old. So Ardbeg Wee Beastie this year won Best Whiskey Under 10 Years Old at the International Whiskey Competition. It's an incredible showing for us. And it's actually our way of taking you as close to the stills as possible at Ardbeg. Again, I'll say it for the 1000th time and quote Brendan McCarran as saying, Ardbeg is very rough and ready. So as you pour a little bit of this whiskey, Ardbeg Wee Beastie, into its glass, you will notice, oh, Paris, hey, what's up? All right, there we are. So as you pour a little bit of this whiskey into its glass, you'll notice that it has this auric kind of gold coloration to it. Not a whole lot of coloration really being imparted due to the fact that these casks are ex-bourbon, both first and second fill, as well as a little bit of refill ex-sherry cask as well, right? So those sherry casks, Oloroso sherry casks, are going to impart kind of an oxidizing effect, or an oxidation, if you will, really amplifying the umami notes of Ardbeg 5-year Wee Beastie. Even just fresh out of the bottle into this glass here, incredibly aromatic, very herbaceous. That smoke is crystalline, it's very clean, well pronounced on the nose. Salt, lime, bacon, fresh cracked black pepper. Really delicious. I'm very excited to make my cocktail for y'all today. But I'm more excited about this food pairing that I have for y'all as well. All right, let's dive into it just a little bit. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so our food pairing of the day. Let's hope that this works there for y'all. Ooh, Moe's Dark Chocolate. This is going to be bacon chocolate, bacon-infused chocolate. I already ate one of these bars, so I'm not going to really feel that bad about it. But it is a heck of a food pairing here, if we can get this thing open. Okay, all right, we might need to go to the kitchen to grab some scissors. Okay, it looks like we're all right. It's going well. There we go. Awesome. So, whole bar of chocolate. Again, we'll hold this up for y'all. Absolutely delicious chocolate. But not only am I going to food pair this whiskey to this chocolate, we're also going to break out another one of my autumn kind of almost wintertime favorites, the blood orange. Delicious blood orange. I'll never forget the first time that I actually saw blood orange. I was like 8 years old at a soccer game, playing soccer. It's wet, it's rainy. We're here in Seattle, Washington, of course, right? Very similar to the microclimate that you actually experience on Isla, where you can go through essentially 4 seasons in one day, right? So early in the morning, you were up at 7:30, 8 o'clock out there on the soccer pitch, little tyke running around in my shin guards, jersey that's inevitably way too big for me, the Magnolia Rockets. Let's go Rockets, right? So I remember at halftime, midway through the game, we go over for orange slices, and the orange slices are like blood red, and I refused to eat them. It wasn't until I was about like 10 that we took a school field trip down to Pike Place. And again, if you're ever visiting Seattle, it is Pike Place, not Pike's Place. Pike Place Market. So we're at Pike Place Market on a school field trip, and one of the produce purveyors ends up handing us all a bunch of blood orange. Looks like we're losing. Huzzah! We're back. Little delay. All good. Not a problem. Not a problem. So, as I was saying, I had the blood orange for the very first time at Pike Place Market here in Seattle, Washington. I'm very excited to make this cocktail because it's going to include a little bit of this chocolate, a little bit of blood orange as well. So let's go ahead and knock out the food pairing first. As always, whiskey and food. Two fantastic ways to kind of intrigue your palate, and two really great ways to actually build your sense of like olfactory hallucinations. There are no two greater senses in the human body that are connected rather than your sense of taste, your sense of smell, and your memory as well, right? So as we pair whiskey to food, it's actually a great way for us to start to train our palates so that we have the words that are applicable and great descriptors of what we're actually tasting in our whiskey. So let's dive in. Right on the nose, dark chocolate, black pepper, sea salt. A lot of sea salt coming off of this whiskey as well. Whew, it is a beast. 47.4% alcohol by volume, non-chill filtered, of course, from Ardbeg. That means that we're going to have fun with not only the way that this smells, the way that it tastes, but also the way that it feels when we're drinking it as well. All right, here we go. Yeah, blood orange. Hi, Bri. All right, here we go. Let's try it. Oh, that sherry is so pronounced. So beautiful. Oxidizes the entire mid palate of this whiskey. I'm going to try this chocolate right off the bat. That is absolutely fantastic. Okay, now we're getting a sense of why these things and how these things actually really go together. The oxidative notes of that sherry cask really bolster a lot of the chocolate that's being pronounced and kind of created on the nose. Very much so kind of amplify all of that bacon and that treacle aspect. That's a quite common tasting note that you'll see in Ardbeg is like treacle or a sugar syrup or brown sugar. That's also why we've opted for brown sugar on the rim of our cocktail today. Let's see about the citrus as well. Let's see how this blood orange pairs. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's absolutely fantastic. I always believe that Ardbeg has a pronounced citrus on both the nose and also on the palate as well as you enjoy it. People will say, "Oh, you're crazy, you're crazy." I don't think I'm crazy for that one. I specifically pull out in Ardbeg Tenure. I actually pull out lime skin. In whiskeys that from Ardbeg that have the introduction of sherry or sherry casks to them, that lime starts to kind of oxidize and sweeten just a little bit, kind of rounding the corner past key lime because it's not that dry, it's not that tart. There's a richness to it as well, into that kind of orange, almost blood orange territory. So that's again why these work so well. Let's try them again. Let's try all three of them here actually. So we'll go whiskey. We'll go blood orange. And then we'll go chocolate. That's a roller coaster of emotions, the roller coaster of flavors, rather, that my palate is being taken on. Scotch Society 305, wonderful, wonderful to see y'all out here as well. Don't worry, we've got a great tasting for y'all coming up here in about a week and a half. So now, let's dive in to a cocktail. That's what this is all about. Food pairing, and then making delicious cocktails as well. Make sure that we're cleaning our hands as we go. Prepping our little workstation. Let's make a cocktail. I'm going to finish this whiskey because it's too good not to. Cheers. Sláinte. That's delicious. All right. So, cocktails. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge fan of whiskey cocktails. Anybody who also knows me knows that I hate the blood and sand. And I will look dead in this camera as I say it. I think the blood and sand is the worst and dumbest cocktail that has ever been created. If you love the blood and sand, I'm so sorry for offending you. I genuinely do apologize. But the blood and sand to me is just a cocktail that has no soul. It's got no base. It's got no depth to its it's got no bravado. It doesn't sing to me at all. But a cocktail that I do absolutely love, that I absolutely love, is the Sidecar, a classic sour variant. So this cocktail is actually loosely based on the Sidecar, and I'm super excited to be able to make this one for you today. So we're going to start this cocktail with 1.5 ounces of, there we go, labels out like you've done this before, Cameron, 1.5 ounces of Ardbeg Wee Beastie. There we are. Next, we're going to throw into this cocktail about a scant half of lemon juice. The reason that we're going with a little bit of lemon juice is just because simply by itself, as we spoke about, blood orange doesn't have the acidulation, it doesn't have the acidity to carry this cocktail all the way through. Orange juice doesn't have the acidity to carry a cocktail. That's why I really do believe the blood and sand is out of balance. It's a cocktail that's disjointed. So now we're going to use a little bit of blood orange, fresh squeezed blood orange. Just got to mix it up there. And we're going to use about 1 ounce of blood orange. Perfection. There we are. Next, one of my absolute favorite ingredients, the one and only prize of Milan, Campari. We're going to use 1/2 ounce of Campari. This will help bring to the surface some more of those bittering notes and herbaceous qualities that we love about Ardbeg Wee Beastie. And next, just for balance, we're going to have 1/2 ounce, a fat half, of simple syrup. Again, 1-to-1 simple syrup. We could have gone with a little bit of honey syrup. We could have. It would have been absolutely delicious. Maybe next time, All of these recipes, again, encourage you to be creative and, take liberties with the libations that we're creating here. And next, one and only Scrappy's Chocolate Bitters. 3 dashes of chocolate bitters. What's going on, Spencer? Thank you for joining us. All right. Now we've added a little bit of ice, and we're going to hold on to this shaker tin so it doesn't open up on us, and we're going to shake the heck out of this cocktail. Shake it like a beast. Go in beast mode. I apologize for the sound. All right, that should be about good. But before we actually put our cocktail into its vessel, we want to make sure that it actually tastes correct, because this is our last chance to make any sort of edits to it. So we're going to straw taste. Taste directly off the back of the hand. Whew, that's delicious. We don't need to wait. This cocktail is absolutely perfect the way it is, just like each and every single one of you. We'll go ahead and add this directly to a chilled coupe glass with a little bit of brown sugar on the outside of it. Perfect wash lines. Again, at home, we need to make cocktails that are beautiful, elegant, and well represent the spirits that we're working with. So don't forget to garnish. I'm taking a little bit of orange and I'm gonna kiss the back of the glass here. I've already expressed it over the top of the cocktail. And now we're just going to twist, pull ever so lightly. And there you have it. A beautiful, beautiful presentation. Look at that one. That's a great looking cocktail. What do you say we try this thing? Here we go. On the nose, whoo, wee beastie, singing, that smoke, that herbaceous quality really cutting through all of the other ingredients, actually being amplified by our friend Campari here as well. The citrus notes, absolutely beautiful, kind of humming. This is going to be a delicious sour. I'm going to try it off the back of the cocktail first, and then I'll try it with the brown sugar on the front. Again, I like to do half rim on cocktails, because for those of you that want a drier style cocktail, you can always feel free to enjoy the cocktail off the back of the glass here. For those of you that like a cocktail with a little bit more saccharine element or a little bit more sweetness to it, please feel free to really engage with that brown sugar on the front. Cheers, Slàinte mhath. That's a winner. Ooh, the way it finishes, that citrus, oh, the citrus kind of returns right to the back of the palate. It goes smoke up front first, then the chocolate, then all of that oxidized and herbaceous quality in the mid palate. The return of the citrus elements really rounds this cocktail out. This might be the best cocktail we've actually made on Whiskey Through Food. So I will make sure that we publish this one, and I'll also shoot another little video of us making this cocktail, because this is a hell of a dram. Let's go ahead and try it. Let's go ahead and try it with our chocolate. We could have actually even garnished this with a little bit of shaved chocolate, which would have been a really great touch as well. But let's see how the blood orange, the chocolate, and the whiskey pair with each other now. Everything is well represented. Excuse me as I speak with an open mouth, or a mouth full of food. The bacon jumping out of the chocolate here. The citrus notes, the sea salt that this chocolate has been kind of adorned and kissed with. Let's try some of the brown sugar off the front of the cocktail. This is a fantastic, fantastic pairing. Oh, my goodness. That's such a great one. As always, Whiskey Through Food, knocking it out of the park. Your one-stop shop for incredible tasting notes on some of your favorite whiskeys from Ardbeg and Glenmorangie. Your favorite food pairings as well, unique and classic food pairings. Later on this week, we're going to be doing something a little bit more avant-garde and getting a little stranger with it on Friday. But this is a hell of a way to start our week off, and I hope that you all have enjoyed it, because I sure have. Until next time, cheers and Slàinte mhath. Have a great, great week. That's delicious.